Immateriality of the soul.
Okay, Mandami, we can start.
वंदामी सबने
So Judaism believe
I have extended one day for the quiz, Suril. So,
Yes, Mandami, we have already live stream, so we can start today's session.
okay. So today today I would like to welcome all our participants of this class. There would be two parts of the class. In the first part, we will discuss about the topic of this week. And in the half of the uh, part of this session, we would discuss about the questions which the participants have in their mind regarding the material or lectures of the week 1. So today's topic is soul in Jain perspective and other systems of philosophy as well as science. I would like to share first the presentation which has already been covered in the recorded lecture, but just to have some ideas. If something is not clear, then we can discuss it in our class. So as we know that the topic of this session this week is soul in Jain philosophy as well as in other systems of philosophy and science. So what is soul in Jain perspective? So we know that there was a doubt about the existence of eternal soul or independent soul in the mind of the chief disciple of Lord Mahavir, whose name was Indrabhuti Gautam, who was the eldest and first chief disciple of Lord Mahavir. So Mahavir replied him that the soul is independent, eternal, and having the activity of consciousness. So here you can say that the identifying characteristic of soul is consciousness and also manifestation of consciousness. So you have heard from the lecture of Professor Kachara that these are two things. One is consciousness and other one is manifestation of consciousness. It means the consciousness is a power of knowing, which the soul inherits in itself, and it is always available with the soul. But the manifestation of consciousness takes place whenever soul uses this consciousness to know something. And that is also always constant in our soul. We never remains without knowing anything or without perceiving anything. All the times we are trying to know something or other. So this manifestation of consciousness is always there, and we can distinct soul from other substances, non-living substances, only on the basis of this manifestation of consciousness. So soul is consciousness itself, and consciousness also is invariable soul. Sometimes we find that people are confused regarding these two terms, soul and consciousness. Sometimes they think that consciousness is soul and soul is consciousness. So that is also true from one perspective. According to Mahavir, he says in Acharang Sutra that Je aya se vinnaya, Jain vijanati se aya. It means the soul is conscious and consciousness is soul. So he is saying that these two terms are interchangeable, though when we go into deeper study of the things, we find that consciousness is the fundamental property or defining characteristic of soul. It is the power of soul, and soul is a substance which is having this quality. So this is the subtle difference between the soul and consciousness. But we can also say that without consciousness, there is no soul. So we can identify consciousness as soul. There is no problem. Now we would see that soul is non-corporeal, living, eternal, and permanent. And it is also fixed in the sense that soul remains always soul. It remains always living entity. It may take the form of a stone, it may take the form of water, etc., but it never loses its consciousness. It never loses its livingness. So it is always living entity. Soul is the generic name of a sentient substance. It means that there are many souls. Each of us are independent soul. So there are infinite number of souls in the universe. Each has each has its own independent existence from others. So soul represents all such kind of living entities of the universe. It is non-physical in the sense it has no physical qualities like smell, touch, taste, or you can say physical form. And it is therefore imperceptible. And this is the main reason that the scientists cannot say anything about soul, because it is beyond their approach. They are always trying to test the things in laboratory, or trying to detect the things through their instruments, or logical or mathematical calculations. But since the soul is incorporeal, it has no physical qualities, or it is not perceptible through any instrument or senses. That's why it is beyond the approach of the
विशु
science.
टीवी बंद कर अब। बस हो गया। क्यों का क्या होता है? हाँ डैडी आ रहे।
Suril? Yeah.
Yes, Vandami, मैंने सबको म्यूट कर दिया है. Now you just need to unmute yourself and start.
See, all the participants are kindly requested. They should mute their speakers. They should not disturb other participants. Okay, so just I was telling that the soul is having consciousness, and that consciousness is, you can say, the identifying characteristic of soul. And soul and consciousness both are interchangeable terms also, because soul is never found without consciousness. Soul is a generic term. It represents all the living entities of the universe. Consciousness may be interpreted both as a structure and function of soul. It means that a consciousness is the fundamental nature of soul, and it is also the main function of soul. There is no other entity who can know or perceive anything. We have so many these kind of artificial devices in the name of artificial intelligence, or a computer or laptop or mobile, etc. They are just programmed in such a way that they are giving some informations, or they are what we say, they are making some sound, but it doesn't mean that they are having some consciousness in themselves. And we can see that the function of consciousness is also identified in the term of upayoga, and that this upayoga is the main defining characteristic of soul from other non-living entities. On the basis of the cognitive behavior or cognitive action, we can see that this is the living entity, and those who are not having such kind of cognitive behavior or action or knowledge, then we can say that it is not living in itself. There are two main manifestations of consciousness, and that is recognized in the form of knowing or cognition and perception. Soul can cognize anything or everything, and it can also perceive anything and everything. So this capacity of knowing and perceiving is found only in the soul or in living entity. Both of them are comprehensions of object by the subject. So these are the you can say these are the two functions through which we can know things outside or of our surrounding. Now we would see that there is a consciousness in mundane soul, and that manifests itself in several ways: intelligence, knowledge, awareness, intuition, bliss, perception, emotions, will, attitude, and behavior, and also feeling of pleasure and pain. Sometimes people say that the monks and nuns are living very hard life, they are giving pains to body, but according to Jainism, it is not the body who is feeling any kind of pain or pleasure. It is only the soul who has this capacity to feel pain and pleasure. So if those who are becoming monk and living hard life, they are doing willingly, so they don't feel that there is some pain. The activities of the soul are reflected in it. They have impression on soul. The impressions are called karma. So this is a very important concept which we find in Jain philosophy, that whatever we are doing or we are performing, right or wrong action, it is always being recorded in the soul, in the form of information or memory, or in the form of karmic impressions, which are carried out in next life also, and that causes many hurdles or many what we say many physical facilities in our life. So one fine material body called a karmic body, containing these impressions in physical form, is being formed with the support of these karmic impressions. This body exists and accompanies the soul at the time of taking up another new body. So this is the main reason that why we are taking rebirth. It is because of our karmas. Whatever we are doing in this life, that is creating karmic account, and to get the consequences of those karmic account, we are taking new birth. Soul has always been infested with karmas. It was never free of karma. This is very good question from the people who are curious about this karmic impressions. They say that when the soul is attached to the karma, or the karmas are attached to the soul. So according to Jainism, since the soul is always in impure state, in its mundane state, it means it is always associated with the karmic particles, and it is beginningless. We cannot say that there was soul which was completely pure, and it has got connection with the karmas later on. If it is the case, then nobody can be in liberated state forever. They will always be connected with some or other karmic materials, and there will be no final liberation in that sense. So this is not the matter actually. The pure soul doesn't attract any karmic particles. It is only the impure soul which is already connected with the karmic body gets this kind of karmic baggages or karmic impressions. Karma affects soul in a particular way. Soul experiences effects of karma in future, this life or future life. So soul is doer and experiencer of its karmas. So we see that the karmas are affecting our inner self in a very peculiar way. According to Jainism, there are 8 types of such karmic impressions which affect our different qualities of soul and are also causing some kind of physical, hardships or physical comforts. All souls in the universe undergo effects such as sorrow, happiness, birth, death, etc., so long as they are afflicted by karmas. So, as I have said already, that we are taking rebirth, it is because of the karmic impression or karmic account. Similarly, we are getting sorrow or happiness in our life. It is in the sense of material or physical happiness. So, the physical pain and pleasure, they are also caused by the karmic account, and we are taking birth and also dying. So death is also being caused by some karmic particles. So this is what we are perceiving here, that these are the impressions or effects of the karmic account on our inner self. Souls who get emancipated from these effects of karma are designated as liberated. So we know that according to Jainism, those souls who become completely free from the karmic impressions or karmic bondage or baggages, they realize their own pure and final state, in which they realize the infinite power of knowledge, perception, or you can say intuition, bliss, and energy. So that state is recognized as Paramatma or Siddha or liberated soul. Life and consciousness are coextensive. Wherever there is life, there is consciousness, and vice versa. All organisms have consciousness. So we have seen that if there is consciousness, then there should be life. If there is life, then there should be consciousness. It means there should be soul. Some people see that the plants are having life, but they are not having soul or consciousness. So that is not possible. Life is always the, you can say, byproduct of consciousness or soul. If soul is there, then there is life. If the soul is absent, then there is no life. So life and consciousness are, you can say, they are concomitant of each other. They are always found together. They are not in the absence of each other. So all organisms have such kind of consciousness, whether they are in the form of a plant or a stone or air or fire, or you can say earth, or in the form of all living, mobile living beings. But there are degrees of explicitness of manifestation of consciousness in different organisms. In the lowest class of organisms, it is very much latent, while in human beings, it is very much manifested. So this can be done, and this can be possible, that the degrees of development of consciousness in different living beings may vary person to person depending on the purity of their inner self. Soul is entirely distinct from inanimate matter, which does not possess consciousness. So we know that soul is completely different or distinct from the inanimate matter, which has no consciousness, or which is non-living or completely material or devoid of consciousness. So according to Jainism, there are five at least basic fundamental realities. Among them, soul is only the soul which is having consciousness. All other the four substances, or you can say realities, they are devoid of consciousness, and that's why they are listed in the category of the non-living substances or realities or entities. There are infinite number of souls in the cosmos. There are certain religions who believe that, which believe that there is only one soul, supreme soul, God, which has created the entire universe, and we are only the reflections of that one God, and we have no independent existence. According to Jainism, all individual souls are having their own independent existence, whether they are mundane or whether they are liberated. No soul is merging into any other soul, or they are not reflection of any supreme soul. They may have same qualities because all souls are equal or having the same potentials. In that sense, we can say that the general soul or common soul or mundane soul can also be identified with the liberated souls so far as the inner potentials of soul are concerned. They are having the same qualities, same potentials, and same kind of nature. Life essentials of worldly soul are senses, 1 to 5, mental, vocal, and bodily activities, duration of life, and respirations. So you can see that if there is life, then there are certain things which you can see as the sign of life in that particular entity. For example, if someone is living, or some entity is having some soul or consciousness in it, then you will find that there must be some or other sense in him or in her. For example, there may be 5 senses in some living being. There may be 4 senses, 3 senses, 2 senses, or 1 sense. So 1 to 5 senses are found always in the living entity. They are also involved in mental, vocal, and bodily activities depending on their what we say senses or development of consciousness. If those living beings who are having just one sense, they cannot speak, they cannot, and so they are speechless, and they cannot think of like the human beings or those living beings who are having mind. And they can just do some physical activities or functions, but they have no mind and no speech. But from 2 sense to 5 sense living beings, you will find that they can speak. So they have also speech function or vocal function. And those living beings who are having mind, they can also think of. So these are the signs that if somebody is living, then he must be involved in some or other physical, mental, or vocal activities. Duration of life, and they must have some duration of life, means the life is also limited, and it must have a fixed lifespan. So every living being is having such kind of fixed lifespan. After that, they die. And respiration is very, very essential for being living. So according to Jainism, all living beings, whether it is 1 sensed or whether it is 5 sensed, all are inhaling and exhaling. They have a respiration system in their body. So these are the sign of being live. Soul is identical with body. The former exists in the later. So sometimes we see that we cannot see the soul directly because it is a sense imperceptible. It is outreach of our senses or even the instruments. But we can see that mostly the people, they think that soul is not separate from body, so they identify soul with body. Yes, in one sense you can say that, because in mundane state, the soul and body are not separate. They are mixed with each other like the water and milk. They can be separated, but in mundane state, they are mixed with each other, and the soul takes the same shape. The body is heavy. In embodied existence, soul and body appear to be same, but this is not really so. So, as I have said already, that in embodied state, we can say that soul and body both are identical, but they are not identical in true sense. They are two different entities, very different. So, body is different from soul in that sense. And this, when we get this kind of knowledge that body is different from soul, that knowledge is recognized as Bheda Vigyan, okay? Separation, a knowledge of separation of soul from body. And that is the main first step towards spirituality. On death, body is left over, soul does not die and takes up a new body. So we can see that soul and body are different in the sense that soul never dies while body dies. So whenever there is death, it is the body which is separated from the soul, or it is soul which is separated from the body and goes to another form of life. So this is what the nature of the soul, that it is always eternal, it never dies. So it is just transferring itself from one body to another, from one body to another body. So there is life in the body so long as soul is associated with it. The body is dead when the soul departs. So here the soul doesn't die, it is only the it only separates or departs from the body which is existing in the given moment. Dimension of extent of soul decreases and increases according to the size of body. This change does not affect fundamental substantiality of soul. Its basic essence remains always unchanged. So this happens because of the karmic body. The soul can expand and also decrease, or you can say contact, according to the expansion of the body which it occupies in particular birth. Souls are existent in every iota of space in the universe. So you can say that the souls are found in the entire universe. There is no iota of space which is bereft of a presence of soul. So soul, there are infinite number of souls, there are subtle souls, and there are gross souls. So you can say the subtle souls are everywhere in every iota of the universe, but the gross, we can say those who are visible to us, they are found in a particular area of the universe, or particular part of the universe, which is known as Prasnadi. But the subtle ones, they are found everywhere and anywhere. They are not visible to us. So we could not come to know that how many living beings are in our room who are found in the subtle forms. All living organisms have similar potential, powers, and abilities, but every living organism is in a different state of manifestation. So this is the very important principle behind the practice of non-violence in Jain tradition, that we consider that all living beings, whether it is one sensed or two sensed or three sensed or five sensed, all are having same potential, same abilities, same nature. So we should not violate any living being. We should not think that we are superior from them. They and we both are equal in our, so far as our potential nature or our fundamental nature of soul is concerned. They are different in the sense that they are having different types of karmas, and that's why they are having different physical, mental, and vocal abilities. So the manifestation may differ person to person or living beings, depending on their purity or depending on their karmic impressions which they are carrying out from last many births. So this is what we have to understand, that souls, all souls are equal. We should not treat any living beings otherwise. We have to be compassionate, kind to all living beings. We have to be friendly to all living beings. so far as their existence is concerned, so far as their potentials are concerned. And that's why Jainism is very much into this concept of or into this practice of non-violence. They take care of all living beings, whether they are microbes, whether they are bacteria, whether they are other forms of life in the form of plant or any other form, lower forms. They think that they are also having the same kind of soul and we should not mistreat with them. So this is what the main concept of practice of ahimsa in of Jain tradition. So if somebody has some question regarding this lecture, this first lecture, they can ask me for the time being. Yes, Sumit Jain, you can ask. Are you able to unmute yourself? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah. Vandana, I have a doubt. So, like when we say souls, like we define every body has a soul. So, in general, we see, for example, in planet Earth, the population is
Yes.
increasing. So, are we saying that? In Jainism, are we accepting the fact that the population, or in general, the living population is increasing? So that's why number of souls are also getting increased. And if so, does it not contradict with the theory of infinite number of souls when we say? So like I'm thinking, suppose if there are say 10 billion living lives on Earth, and after 100 years it becomes 20 billion. So does this mean that 10 billion more souls have come up? I like how do I think on this?
Yeah. See, so it doesn't contradict with the infinite number of souls. Okay. First thing. Why? Because there are infinite number of souls. And they all are not in the form of human beings. They are in other forms of life. So when they are progressing in their life and getting some higher state, they are coming to human life also. So if number increases, then it is not something which is contradicting to the concept of infinity of soul. First thing. Second is that the population is increasing because of our health consciousness or because of our medical science, support of medical science, and maybe some, we also know that there is always multiplication of living beings. When there are two living beings, they will give birth to some other same kind of a species, and then number increases day by day. So that's why we are getting such good number on the earth. But in comparison to other forms of life, you will find that it is negligent. The number of human beings which are on the earth is nothing in comparison to other forms of life. They are infinite in number. In one plant, you will find that there is innumerable number of souls, and which is more than what we are finding on the earth. Okay, so is it clear?
Yes.
See, lower forms are going to higher forms with their time or with their purification of inner self. So they may come also to human form. They are always found, they were available in some other form. So now they are developing and coming to the higher state.
Okay.
Any other question?
Yes.
Sasha.
Namaskar. मेरा question है, आपने कहा ना, there are from ekendriya to panchendriya, there are so many jivas. So if I kill an ant, उतना ही पाप लगता है जितना if I'm killing a human being. Is it same the commitment of my crime? and I get as much path by that. The similar by killing an ant and killing a man or human being is equivalent or not. That is one question. So, and the other thing is we are talking about everything is alive, but
Yes.
now I could be completely wrong. Now we say water. Water mein jeev hai. Water is ekendriya jeev we consider. But when scientifically we are trying to see the formula is H2O, so hydrogen and oxygen.
Yes.
Are those then hydrogen, oxygen, are those living things? Or they're non-living, So that is another question also. Uh, and then the third one is about the soul and consciousness. So, like say right now I am living, so I have a soul. Is my soul in a constant communication or something with the consciousness? Is that the true statement or not?
The third, I
While I'm
believe.
alive, or everybody alive,
Mhm.
we have soul. Every living thing has a soul.
Yes.
And is everybody's soul, while we are living, is in communication or in connection with the generalized consciousness like we are talking about?
Okay, so
That's confusing.
I'm trying to answer to your questions. Might be the third one is not very much clear to me, but I will try my best to
Okay.
answer. The first question you have said about what was the question actually?
Whom I'm killing, an ant or a human
Okay,
being.
okay, yeah. See, the killing and the scene is depending on two factors. The first is intention, and the second one is your action, mode of action. If you are killing some living beings by mistake or unknowingly, then there is no intention actually for killing. So it does not attract us that much a scene, which is attracted due to your wrong intention. Clear?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter whether it is one sense living being or five sense living beings. If you are having cruelty, hatred, or wrong intention, and your mode of action is also very painful, then it may cause the same kind of sin by killing one sensed or five sensed.
Okay.
Clear? Second is the question. Second was the question.
If water, the hydrogen and oxygen,
Yes.
is
Okay.
that the
So
living?
according to Jainism, there is water which is having life, but all waters are not having life. Okay. So there are certain water which can be said the artificial or created by some such kind of a process. They might have not the life, but so far as the oxygen is concerned, it is said that oxygen is required to living being. Okay. So this kind of water may also have the life. Otherwise, the oxygen would not be required for creating water. So if oxygen is required, then it must have some life. So it is the sign that all living beings inhale and exhale, and they need oxygen. So if body is created with the support of oxygen and hydrogen, then it may have the life. But at least the natural water which we are getting through sky or through earth, that water or in the well or ponds, you will get that this water is living water. It is naturally created or formed and having soul in it. And the third question you have said that consciousness. Okay. And so all living beings are having same consciousness. It doesn't mean that there is one supreme consciousness or cosmic consciousness which is connected with all of us. We all are having independent soul, and each soul is having its own consciousness. Clear?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Yes. Any other question?
वंदना शर्मा जी
Priyanka, yes.
Yes. मेरा क्वेश्चन है soul we are saying that it is non-physical identity
Yes.
or karmas are bonded to the soul and karma has some structure, you were saying. So would that be physical entity, like karma will be physical entity and soul is non-physical, and they both, physical and non-physical, they both are together, and how they are together, like I'm struggling to understand that concept.
Yeah, it is very big problem before the philosophers also. How non-corporeal or non-physical entity is getting connected with the physical one, because the principle is that like attracts like, no? Similar things can connect with each other, but not different ones. So that is the big problem before the philosophy also. But according to Jainism, there is Bhagavati Sutra, in which the Mahavir says that soul is not completely non-physical in mundane state. It is always associated with some subtle bodies. The first body is karmic body, and the second one is the vital body, that is the bioelectrical body. So it is always associated with these subtle bodies, and because of these subtle bodies, it is getting these karmic particles attached to it. So don't think that soul is pure in mundane state. Is it always impure? And it is associated with body, and body is getting body is attracting the physical particles and not the pure soul. Are you
And
getting?
when we
Tami, I want to add into something to the
Yes.
Priyanka ji. So
Yes.
Priyanka ji, how this one is, it is like, I just give you an example in a simple way, right? Have you ever seen that cow has tied with a rope, right? जैसे हम गाय को
Yes.
बांधते हैं ना, तो
जी
गाय को बांधा है कि रोप को बांधा है, किसको बांधा है, आप बताओ।
गाय को बांधा है।
गाय को कहाँ पे बांधा है, क्योंकि रोप तो गाय के गले में ही है, रोप की टाई तो रोप से ही है,
हाँ
राइट। हाँ, जैसे
हाँ
रोप से है और फिर भी गाय बंधी हुई है, गाय फ्री होते हुए भी बंधी हुई है, ऐसे ही कार्मिक पार्टिकल्स आर बॉन्डिंग विथ दिस द कार्मिक पार्टिकल्स ओनली, they cannot make any kind of those the bond with our soul one, because however it is, that is what this is a science ones, right? So in a bonding one is always been to this the equal kind of those the elements. I will just give an example. All those the metals can be bond with the metal. Metal cannot be bond with air or another form. Okay, so that is how it is a science. So this one, it is purely karmic particles are a physical particles, so they have a bondage with. But in whenever there's the bond is entirely been created, but inside one there is a soul, and it has been moving with this the soul one. So that's why it is considered as a our soul's another body, means it is a body of the soul one. That is how it has been considered. Okay,
So
but
in
yeah,
pure state, soul is bondage free, and in impure
yeah,
state,
it
it has
is.
bonds and it has some structure, some physical entity, some body, and which is associated with the karmic body.
जैसे आई विल गिव इन अनदर एग्जांपल, राइट, आपकी शादी हो चुकी है तो आप फ्री होके बंधे हुए हो।
बंधे हुए
Okay, so you
free
are a
भी है.
free as well, right? Means, but
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
you
free
feel that you are
also.
also bonded, right? किसी ने आपको बांध के तो नहीं रखा हुआ है कि आप घर पे ही रहो, या लॉक करके कि
नहीं
ना
नहीं
उसके साथ जैसा आप हस्बैंड जहाँ पे जा रहे हो उसी के साथ आप जाओ,
नहीं
ठीक है,
नहीं
राइट। हाँ, फिर भी आप कैसे बंधे हुए हो, जैसे आपका जिस हिसाब से बंधन है ना, बिकॉज इट विल बी लुक लाइक वेर एवर यू आर गोइंग आउट, so people will seeing where you are going out with your husband, so it will be look like, means yes, you are married and you are going with that one. So that is how this the bondage is working. How, because however in this the entire universe, it is not just that there are one or two karmic particles, we have everywhere all those the karmic particles, but there are few having a bondage and it is being moving along with this our soul one. Okay, so that's we can call it is a body of our soul one. Okay, inside one both are pure, even the karmic particles are also pure because those are the pure physics ones, and our soul is also pure because it is. But whenever you are seeing from the outside one, it is like they have an impurity because you are looking at from those the other side one as well. However, I will just give in same way examples, right? You are free as well as you are bonding with your marriage too. It's the same manner. Okay, so this kind of these things is working it over there. It is only that is how our Jain philosophy has been has a multifaceted view. You are looking from which directions?
which direction, right? That's why, monks and other people used to say that we should try to see inside what is there inside our soul, seek the inside knowledge and all.
Yes, inside one, yes, you can simply say it one. But yeah, you here one purpose is to try to understand what is the property of which one, because that is the thing. Whenever you want to distinguish something, right? How you can distinguish it without knowing that the property. Property is an identifiers through which one you know, okay, yeah, these are the property. It means that this is a gold. This is a property. It means that this is a silver one, right? So same way, what is the property of soul and what is the property of karma? Once you know it, then it will be for you, it's easy to identify both of those one, even though they are in a mix, like, and that means whenever the gold are in a mixed form, we can say 22 karat or 20 karat, but even though however those the goldsmith identify it is a 20 karat, it means that yes, they seeing that the pure gold particles into the mixed one with the silver or all other alloy metals one, it is the same manner, means that's how you can identify it. Okay, and that's the things you can say, yeah, looking from the inside one. Yes, you can say it like that way too.
Thank you, Suril, for clarification. So
Yes.
we have to understand that in nature, actually nothing is found in pure form. It is always mixed with some other elements. Okay, and after refinery process, it becomes separate from the dust or any such kind of impurities. So that's why it is always mixed with matter or karmic particles and associated with these physical body also. And that's why we are attracting the karmic particles. The pure self cannot attract any karmic particles or any physical or material particles. So this is what we have to understand. Now the next question of Prakash Sancheti.
Yes, that is the consciousness. You mentioned the two main manifestation power.
Yes.
One is the cognition and second is the perception.
Correct.
Perception about anyone, how we can judge?
Perception of cognition of anyone.
The perception of anyone, how we can judge?
What do you mean? What do you want to understand?
Meaning is that there are two manifestation power. One is the cognition, other is the perception. Perception looking to anybody. Suppose I perception finding out anybody, how we can judge? How we can judge?
Okay, so see, the perception is, you can see that all the five senses, they are sensing.
Yes.
Outer objects. So this sensation is recognized as perception. It is a perception of senses. Clear? When we get extrasensory perception, then we can directly perceive the things without support of the senses. But since we are not having that knowledge, extrasensory perception, now at present we are knowing everything or anything or perceiving anything or everything through our senses. So the sense, when sense are getting sense data or sensations of outside, that is being recognized as perception. That is called a chakshu darshan and a chakshu darshan. In the yes. Okay. So any Kuldeep?
Yes. This is regarding the point that was raised by Ansaji, that water is H2O. But like, for example, when we do fast, we boil water, right? So we remove all these things. So water in its purest form, maybe possibly it does not have any living organisms, but like we stay in some or the other culture kind of thing. So some organisms like fish and some microorganisms live in water. So by that, only the water contains living organisms. Otherwise, water in its purest form does not have this thing. Can we consider like that?
No. See, water itself is living. That is the main concept of Jainism. Other living beings, microbes or bacteria may also be found. but they are separate from the life of water. In one drop of water, Jainism believes that there are innumerable number of souls. Innumerable, not just one, two, or thousand, but they are innumerable. So that is the main concept of Jainism about the life of water. Clear? So when we boil or mix some other elements, then it becomes non-living. It means that the life of water is finished due to fire or some other elements, and it becomes non-living, and then only it can be used in fasting or by the monks and nuns.
Okay. And we said that soul, it has a it attaches itself to a karmic body, uh, which has karmic particles, attaching to it. And outside the karmic body also there is a bioelectric body.
Right.
uh, so the activities by the bioelectric body generate or liberate the karma, and that affects the karmic body. So how does this karmic body attach to a soul? And uh, like, is it different karmic body every time the soul takes another body, or like bioelectric body, or there could be same karmic body but a different bioelectric body in different births?
See, all the karmic bodies, or you can say physical bodies, they are always getting some new matter, and the old one is passing away or separating from it. So you have to understand this one, and this thing, especially in the case of all the physical bodies, whether it is karmic body, whether it is vital body, whether it is physical body. Just we have to see that these the karmic and bioelectric bodies, they are always associated with the soul. And they are getting new karmic particles all the times whenever we are performing any action, whether it is mental or physical or verbal. All these activities are causing some kind of karmic impression or karmic bondage in us, and the body is getting those new karmic particles all the times. And the old ones, they are coming into action with their time and they are separating. So this process is going on all the times. There is always a separation of the karmic particles, old ones, and the new ones are getting associated with us. Okay. And this is the chain which is going on from the time immemorial with us. Is it clear
but
now?
but uh, but how does a karmic body attach to a soul?
How does, I have already said that we are performing some or other act. We are not in the condition of a non-vibrate mode. We are always on vibrate mode, and we are getting these kind of particles from our surroundings. It is always available in our surrounding. So whenever we are doing any kind of mental, physical, or verbal activities, then there is a kind of turmoils in our inner self, or you can say vibrations in our self, or it is coming into action, and it is getting particles from outside, depending on the nature of our action. Okay. And bioelectrical body is supporting to attach these karmic particles to the karmic body, and also bringing the karmic impulses at physical level. Okay. So karmic bioelectrical body is meant to make these bodies functional. Without support of bioelectricity, no bodies can work. Okay. So it is always associated with the karmic body. It is always associated whenever we are getting this physical body also. Okay. It makes bodies functional. So it is not just for making free from karmic particles, but it is also playing a crucial role in attaching to the new karmic particles. Okay. And that can
uh,
be
uh,
very much clear when when you will understand the concept of leisure, how this bioelectrical body is helping or playing a role in attaching karmas to the soul.
Can I share screen once? I'm a little bit unclear.
Which screen?
My screen.
Yeah, you can.
Who can speaking? Who is speaking?
It is
Kuldeep.
Kuldeep ji. Okay, yeah. Let me allow you to share your screen. Okay, just give me a second.
so
But,
yeah. We have
but
some.
I also have a like a similar kind of maybe if I can
Yeah,
add on to what
yeah,
Kuldeep
you
ji
can.
is saying.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
same. It's like I have a similar also kind of a doubt as well. So maybe just expanding it like this, understanding it from a material perspective, not from non-soul perspective. Like let's say if two things come together, taking an example of cow and rope, right? So how are cow and rope, how are they attached to each other? So at a gross level, doesn't we can't see that cow and rope are attached with each other, right? But when
Mhm.
we go and look at the micro level, then at the atom, the ropes in the atoms of the rope and the atoms in the cow, they are connected together by some sort of van der Waal force, or they
No,
don't make
no,
any
no.
other bond, right? Because there's a friction, right? Let's say if I my car is going on the road, but if I put a brake, the car is going to stop. Like if I don't accelerate, it'll stop because there is a force of friction, and that is a force that is kind of connected between. So this is just from the material perspective, like just from science perspective, of why rope is able to keep the cow at the same, why it is not able to move it away. So there is this force that is happening in the material world. But now, if we extend it to, like, let's say we take a non-matter now, and now we are saying that this karmic body, which is material, right, and this soul, which is non-material, so now they should be connected with each other somehow. So there should be some sort of quality of the non-matter, and there should be some quality of uh, the matter, which should be the same, and the quality of non-matter should be able to, this quality of non-matter should be able to affect the quality of the matter, uh, and then it should be able to tie it together. So uh, what is that quality which are common between non-matter and matter, which allows them to bond together? Because the substance, they can't be same because they are very different substance, but as long as they can produce the same kind of qualities, then they will be able to, like, if say if matter has a quality of weight, and if the non-matter is able to also generate similar kind of qualities, then it can affect the matter. So I'm wondering, is there a way to think of this in terms of common qualities between this different, because those substances are different, but because they have common qualities, they interact with each other with this common quality. So
Yes.
that's my hype. I
Okay,
don't know if that is true or not.
yes. Okay. So,
Yeah.
however, I can, Mandami, let me just explain them in a pretty
Okay.
scientifically manner one. So there are two things happening, right? Whenever this, okay, so whenever any kind of those interactions, how this the interactions happens. Anyway, this the subject, it is not a part of the chapter, this chapter one. And in a later on, you will learn, but as the question rise one, I'll just give you a very short glimpse about it. What would be happened if you, hold on, if you, Parasji, if you can stop sharing one and then everybody can view it. Okay, that's fine. Let's have a picture so at least I can. Uh, okay. So Parasji, how these things been happening? You know that there are the two things happening. First one, any kind of those the thoughts or because the soul has a consciousness, right? And so it has the power to generate their own thoughts as well. Soul is, and that is what it's been doing, and that creates a vibration. Okay, in a huge vibrations. And so that is the one that the vibrations is shaking up. Outside is you will just think about it. You are putting you have you seen a jar with the full of those what we can say a dirt or something, and you put it little bit vibrator, and how those all are everything is a shaking, right? Inside that the jar one. So soul is not a living alone in this universe, and there are already surrounded by this the karmic. So whenever this kind of the vibrations start up here one, it starts shaking up those the karmic here one. All those the karmic particles, which one is nearby to it. Okay. So then after what will be happen? There is also a concept of rag and dresh. Okay. So whenever those kind of the things happen, it means that it's called a vikari bhav. It is means that there are not the purest form of those the bhav. Okay, inside one. So if there is a rag things happened, that create like a lubricated one, like sticky portions on outside of those one, and that created those the karmic particles, whatever is been vibrating it, it attracting and sticking. If there is a dreshbhav is happening, then our body, with our soul has that. Okay, our soul also has a shape. Remember, because that is called the we have all those elements in there are in the world. They have 6 elements, and there is a one common quality is called astitva. Okay, so how you will define it? Because yes, how you can say this things is exist without having a shape one. So also we have a shape, but why we can say is a shapeless? Because it is not the particular shape like an karmic particle. They have a particular shapes. Okay, so that's how our outer layer is become a course where other are. It's like an if you have those the wall and you put it up some kind of those the popcorn kind of the things on your wall one, and then that the dust passing through it, and you will see there are some dust is sticking to it, right? So that is how this the bondage is been happening. But still, if you're looking from those the perspective of those the karmic particle one, yes, they are always been into their one. They're never getting mixed with our one, and our soul is never getting mixed with this one. But yes, those the bonding is happening at an outer layer. The same way I already explained you how it has been attracted. Yoga is a main reason for the attractions, and how it has been staying with it. Rag and Dresh is a reason of staying with us.
Yes.
Okay.
Suril has met
thank you.
here. There is also mention in Bhagavati Sutra especially that how the karmic body is getting attached to the soul. What is the common? So you have raised a very good question, and the answer was given that there is some stickiness in the quality. The soul is also having some stickiness in the form of raga and dvesh, and the matter is also having stickiness. That is snigdha and ruksha guna. Okay, so because of that, they are getting attached to each other. Clear? It is not the pure soul, but because of the karmic body, it is also getting what we say attachment and aversion or rag and dvesh, that kind of parinams, and that's why the soul is in vibration mode. And sometimes I give the example of landing the aeroplane. You see that when the aeroplane lands, what happens? It is in full motion, full speed. So the dust nearby gets attracted to it because of the vibration mode. Okay. So whenever we come into action, then the karmic particles which is found in our area, they gets attracted to the soul. Clear? If we are in not in vibration mode, we have stopped all the mental, physical, and verbal activities. Then we don't get this kind of karmic particles from the surroundings, though they are there. Instead of that, you are always unattached from them. Clear? So vibration is causing first the attraction of karmic particles, and second, the main reason is the turmoils, emotional turmoils, which are which are inside the soul, and they are causing this kind of attraction of the karmic particles.
But now just to like reiterate my understanding now is
Yes.
like before my understanding was non-matter is completely separate, like soul is completely separate and matter is completely separate. So, but then there is something common in between them, and that is the how that common, and that common thing we can say is some sort of quality that a non-matter can produce, and then which can also influence the matter particle, and then they kind of interact with each other because of that common quality. But then
Yes.
maybe
So
you don't have to answer.
that
Go
common
ahead.
quality is recognized or identified as sneha, viscosity or stickiness, you can say.
Stickiness.
Yes.
That-
The soul
and
is
when I
having
then
stickiness, and the particles are also having stickiness.
and
The
then they bond
the-
together.
yeah, soul is attracting them, and the matter is being attracted. So that is a kind of a common quality between these two, and that's why they are coming into connection with each other. Okay.
And when in the follow-up question, you don't have to answer it right now. Maybe going a little bit deeper, but just will state the question is
Yes.
what is that? What is non-matter made up of that it is able to produce? We say that yes, it is, but it is able to produce those kind of stickiness quality, because matter in our real life experience, I can experience it like how it is produced. I can experience it, but it's hard to understand how a non-matter, what is really non-matter, is non-matter, can we divide non-matter in different portion and say, like in my mind, I think of non-matter just as one entity, but looks like it's not one entity. It's made up of many things, and then it's able to produce this different things, and then, but we can discuss this later. So maybe going
Yeah, this
a little bit.
Pantami,
So
let
now
me.
time is up, but we have 3 minutes extra. If somebody has any questions, Sanjana Shah, you can ask the question. RK Khanna sir. Yeah, Sanjana, you have question?
Yes. So in the entire existence, whatever is the limit to that existence, has there been ever a chance where the souls are increasing in number, or are there fixed number of souls and they keep changing bodies, changing dimensions and lok?
Yes. So this is also said in a Bhagavati Sutra by Lord Mahavir, that the quantity of souls and quantity of atoms or any elements, they are always constant. They never increase, never decrease. Only there is reformation in them. And that's why they are looking from in different forms. And we are thinking that there are new things which are coming into play, but it is not the reality. They are just reforming themselves. Whether living beings, they are reforming in the form of rebirth, and the matter is reforming in the form of recycling. Okay, so just there is a recycling process or rebirth process. Because of that, these entities are getting new form. So reformation is there only. Nothing is coming into very new into existence, and nothing is losing its own existence. Everything is constant. Okay, the number is constant. Khanna sir, yes.
Thank you, Samniji. Sorry, I joined late because I was in the lecture on water. So I would like to add something here. Somebody asking you about water. So one drop of water contains around 38,000 biota, jeev. एक बूंद पानी में होते हैं. It has been accepted world over. And it was given by Dr. J.C. Bose, our renowned scientist. In fact, in that, हम इसको कहते हैं जल का है जीव.
Yes.
Jeev in water. But I was attending a very interesting lecture. Somebody has, Dr. Jain, based in USA, said the water itself is a jeev. Water itself has life. He was telling that ऐसा नहीं कहते water contains biota, water contains jeev, jal का है jeev. He said my theory is that he was telling a very interesting concept. Water itself is a jeev. That is to be taken for your information.
There is on okay. So in a karma bhumi, yes, water has a life, but in a bhog bhumi, water doesn't have a life. Okay. So water always been finding out in a two manner, and that is what already been mentioned in our scriptures once. One is that the entire physical form, that is we consider as an H2O. Another one is we called Jal Kai. So whose body is already water? Okay. So there are the two, but yes, so you can find it out, means whenever right now, because we are in a karma bhumi and we are talking about this, the water one. Yes, for us one, each entire water is a jeev.
Okay.
So in Sthanang Sutra, it is said that there are two types of water. One is parinat and other one is aparinat. It means one is having life and other one is not having life. Okay. And at the time, it is said that in the time of Lord Mahavira, when he was going to Pakistan was the part of India at that time, no? So he was going on invitations of some king there. So he found in the way that there was a pond which was having completely non-living water. Okay. So he could see that what water is having the life and what is not. But everybody cannot see that. And that's why we think that all water we have to treat like living entity, and we should not misuse that. Okay. So in Acharya Sutra, it is said that Mahavir has said that I am not talking about the iota of living beings into water. I am talking that water itself is living entity. And in one drop, you find innumerable, not just 38,000, but innumerable number of souls in a single drop of water. Okay. So that is.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for joining the session. Might be some people have not yet seen that they should join the Google Classroom. Until and unless you join the Google Classroom, you cannot get the access of the course material and also the assignments. So there is always some due date for the assignments. After that, it will be closed. So please take assignment in time. And those people who are not acquainted with this Google Classroom process, if you are in touch, you can say to them that how they can be connected. Though I have sent emails and links many times to all the participants and sent reminders also, but might be some people could not come to know that how they should join. So just at this up to this time, 72 or 3 people have joined the Google Classroom, but still there are almost 40 to 50 number which are still have not joined the class. So if they are in your touch, please say to them. So thank you for coming, and I have covered one lecture. There is another lecture which can be also very much, which may be already clear to all of you. If you have questions, you can ask in any time through email or WhatsApp group or in next lecture, next class. Thanks. So we are leaving now.
Okay.
Thank you.